to Healing from A to Z with Masterful You and KB. Hi, I'm Chris Burke, and today we're going to be talking about confusion. Originally, I was going to talk about cowardice, and my husband asked me, what are the things that you're thinking about this week? And I told him, and he said, what about confusion? I think that's such an important one these days. And at first I was like, no, we already have our list, like appreciate the input. And as the week went on, I was like, it just kept coming back into my mind. And I thought, ooh, that was one of the ways that my unconscious was delivering the answer to a question when I asked, what are the C words that we should be talking about this week? And so we are going to be talking about confusion. So one of the things that's always been confusing to me is that when people criticize you and then, or, basically are just mean, disrespectful, dismissive, and then say they're doing it because they love you. That's always been confusing because it doesn't feel like love in my experience when somebody is being critical. And when I asked those questions as a child, because I wanted to understand, you can't change something when you don't understand it. That's what why clarity is so important. Once we have clarity and we understand a situation, then we can usually find our way through to creating a different experience. But when we don't actually understand what's going on, then we might be trying to fix symptoms of the problem or symptoms of the situation instead of the actual root situation. And we just end up more and more confused because nothing we try works, right? So I would ask questions about, well, how is that, how is spanking me showing me love, right? This is harder on you than it is on me. I think we all know that isn't true, and yet it's one of those lies that's commonly accepted. And people don't really give it that much thought. But those were things that I did think about a lot. And I would ask questions and it would make people angry. And why did it make people angry? Because when people are telling you something that they don't understand themselves, they're just passing along, ideas, concepts, sayings that they haven't really resolved for themselves that are still confusing to them. And you ask them for clarity, they get upset. That's one of the keys or one of the clues to knowing whether or not somebody truly understands the topic that they're talking about, or if they're just that's great, just perpetuating what they heard themselves and what they accepted without really resolving it. So let's talk about how we go about getting that clarity. And it's really the exercises that we've been talking about. What's at the roots of this? What was at the roots of my confusion was actually people who were just acting out what they had learned, just unconscious patterns. And that's the point of all of this healing, is that those unconscious patterns are inherited on one level from our parents, right? We inherit them genetically. And then we've got the adaptation. We adapted to our environment. Whatever the beliefs were in that environment and the dynamics, we adapted to it. So this process is about becoming adaptive, about being present in the moment and looking at the situation and saying, wait, do I understand what's happening? Do I have clarity? Because once I have clarity, I can make a choice. So take a topic that you're currently confused about. What's something that doesn't make sense to you? It could be out in the world. It could be something that somebody in your family claims. It could be a situation where somebody does something, but they act in a way that makes you think, well, that doesn't seem to match up. Just take something that you're confused about, or something in yourself. Something that you say, I intend to do this, and then you can't follow through. That's a source of confusion, right? So ask yourself what it is that's confusing you right now, that resolving that would help. Write that down. And then we're going to start with what's your experience of that. So what's your current experience of that confusing situation? And so on a scale, on our compass scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is, I can't get out of bed, this is so frustrating and confusing, to 10, oh, I totally get why I needed to learn that and have that experience because it's helped me to become who I am, blissfully happy, right? Where are you currently with that confusion? How much of an issue is it for you right now? We're just checking in and interviewing ourselves in terms of our experience, because so often we spend time in our minds trying to figure things out, and we're weighing the pros and cons, but all we have access to is the past information. Intellectually, we only have access to the past information. So we're taking information from the past, we're applying it to the present, forecasting it into the future. But oftentimes we're using information that was confusing, that we didn't have clarity about, and so we're further confusing ourselves, right? So we want to kind of put a stake in the sand right here and say, okay, right here, you're going to love, I mix metaphors all the time. I'm kind of famous for it. So bear with me. But we're going to say right now in this moment, what is that experience of that confusion? Put your number down. This is an intuitive exercise, whatever pops into your mind. And then we're going to interview ourselves, interview the layers of our own intelligence. So we start out by writing down, I think. In regards to this thing that's confusing, I think what? What are the thoughts that you think? Write them down. What are the feelings that you have? What are the things that you're saying and doing to yourself and to others? What is your sensation in your body? What do you sense in your body? Write down, I sense. And then do a body scan. Just really pay attention to how does it feel in my body. Start at the top of your body, scan along. Do you notice any tension anywhere? A lot of people have been noticing jaw clenching and neck and shoulder tension lately. Go all the way down to your toes. Don't ignore, down your arms, fingers, the whole bit. And just see what's going on. Check in with yourself. That can be invaluable. And then finally, what do you know at this experience? What do you know is true of this current experience with this confusing issue? Okay. And don't be surprised if this confusing issue is actually, one of the things you know is kind of inspiring, because that can pop in and that can be really lovely. All right. And then we're going to choose. So I didn't realize that Addison could reach me from the window right now, but she can. Hi, Addison. Thank you for joining us. So let's see. Now we're going to choose where we're going. And you want to choose, again, on that scale, where do you choose to go? So if you're currently at, let's say you're at a 3, whatever the number is, choose the experience that you want to have. This is about you and your experience, so there can't be another opinion that matters, right? This is about you reconnecting with the brilliance of you and learning to trust that and cultivate exactly the experiences that you want so that you can love your life. Yeah. Okay, so I always recommend that you choose kind of a 7 or 8. Take whatever number makes sense to you, but realizing that that 10 is going to continually move and move and move, because we keep expanding how much joy and good stuff we can actually have in our lives. Okay, so now when you have that number set, this is where you're going in this experience of confusion, which means you're going to clarity. Right? At some point, confusion fades away. You've gotten to the source of the issue and you're able to see it. And then you're like, oh, I can take action. I see the choices that are available to me because I understand what's happening. So interview yourself in terms of what this future experience is going to be like when you have clarity. What will you think? What will you feel? What will you say and do to yourself and to others? What will you sense in your body? What will that experience be like? And finally, what will you know is true? This can be a really powerful exercise. Take your time with it. Give yourself an opportunity to really know what's going on inside of you, because the brilliance is there Just so often we've lost connection with it, and we've lost trust in what we are connected with. That's what this healing is about. Finding your brilliance again. Okay, so now the last and maybe most powerful piece of this is to ask yourself, what do I need to know or do in order to take the next steps to move from the number that you're at to the number you're going to, from the experience you're having of confusion to the experience of clarity that you want. We talked a lot in class yesterday about integration, about really integrating your body's intelligence, your mind's intelligence, your soul or heart's intelligence, and your spiritual intelligence. About really integrating all of those parts so that you're operating as one, so that you get all four of those aspects sort of in the boat rowing in the same direction toward a life you love, instead of having parts of you that are, still unhealed, that are kind of hands over the side of the boat rowing in the opposite direction, desperately thinking you're heading for the waterfall. That's very much the experience that a lot of us have, right? We're trying to move forward toward this thing we want, but we're terrified that something terrible will happen. So just in this experience, there's no programmed what you have to do when you get clarity. Clarity is something that creates peace for us, because now we see the truth, and now we know what our choices are, and now we can make a decision that works for us, whatever decision we want. But we can't make choices that will create intended outcomes until we know what we're actually dealing with. We need clarity first. Remember that when you use the magic toaster, when you ask the question, when you set the intention, you are doing that consciously, and then you are putting it in the magic toaster and giving it over to your unconscious, which is all of these other layers and aspects of you, for them to process and deliver answers. And the answers can come in any way. Like my husband saying to me, why don't you do this topic? That felt very much like my unconscious communicating and saying, hey, there's this other thing that's more powerful, that's more important for people at this time. So if you're liking what we're doing, if you're valuing it, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. It helps to reach more people so more people can get on the healing bus here. That's what 2025 is all about. If you notice that a lot of people are experiencing more physical symptoms of things, facing more challenges, that's because we're actually on a healing journey. We're on a wave of healing right now, but we need to know how to do the healing in order to resolve the symptoms that we're experiencing. That's what this is all about. On Friday, you can tune in at 11 o'clock in the U.S. Eastern Time. Tune in with when my colleague and dear friend Judy Forder and I will answer your questions live. We do a live Q&A, because ultimately this is about your journey. And if anything I say strikes you as fantastic, like, oh my gosh, yeah, penny dropped, I'd love to know about that. I'd love to know about your ahas and epiphanies. I'd also like to know about the things I say that just seem unfathomable to you. Because as I said, this is about clarity. If what I say is confusing, let's resolve that. Let's help you to get to clarity. Or maybe you've seen something that I missed. I want to know about that too. I like to resolve. I don't dismiss things that contradict what I say or what I believe. I actually bring them into my experience and I say, okay, how do I resolve this? How do I get to a place of clarity? Not by just dismissing something as, well, that's not what I think, so it can't be true, but actually by saying, let's take a look at this. What's happening here? Is there something that I can learn from this? Okay, so for masterfulyou.com, masterfulyou.com, you get all kinds of resources on there. All of these videos are there, as well as the workbook download. There's a free ebook on recovering from anxiety. It talks about my journey, all kinds of fun things. Ultimately, Masterful You is about supporting you and your journey of healing. And so you're driving the bus, and we're here to say, hey, did you look at this? Let us support you in doing that. And if you look at this whole world right now, there are a lot of people out there who are ready and able to help you on your healing journey. Your job is to do what we've just done in this video together, which is to set the intention, which is to take stock of where you are, set your intention about where it is that you're going in your experience, and then start the process of asking the questions that will guide you forward. Thank you for being here with me today. And thank you for being you.